What do you mean I'm not perfect? I'm awesome. We're going to talk about what qualities you should have in a spouse and how you can be better when we get ready to be done with the look that I just got. What's up, guys? My name's Jeff. That is my wife. We are My Wife Still Likes Me. A good spouse is much more than a partner. They are a confidant, a friend, a pillar of support, and a lifetime companion. Today, we're going to discuss some of the qualities that make a good spouse, or things that we can work on and improve personally as we try to attain the happily ever after that we set out upon. Food for thought, fun thought. I don't tell you all the time what we're talking about before the show starts, so you hear it for the first time like they do, and so the look was hilarious. Because you're like, what are we doing now?
Well, I was actually more thinking it's going to be a very one-sided show because I am amazing. So,
yes, sure. I don't care what anybody says. You're the best wife I've ever had.
I should hope so.
You're the only wife I've ever had.
It's a pretty short list.
Anyway, let's do a question, and then we'll jump into our topic today. Oh, good grief.
What is the most annoying way that you try to flirt with your significant other? And
can I say that?
Hold on. What is the most annoying way that your significant other tries to flirt with you?
I feel like I should ask you those questions about me. What is the most annoying way that you flirt with me?
There are some times when, and it's usually only when we're at home, but sometimes I will be like over the top, like, hi, how are you?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And it's honestly, it's to make you laugh, like 100%. And thankfully you do laugh because it'd be really awkward if I'm being that annoying.
Oh yeah.
So I know that one for sure. What's yours?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
Like, there's not very many things you do that I don't like. I'm trying to, like, what do you do to flirt with me? I don't know. I really don't.
I think you agree with mine.
Yeah, but I think you're just being stupid, not trying to flirt with me.
It's true. But sometimes it's hilarious because sometimes it'll be like you don't reciprocate that annoying energy. You will just like flip that switch and it's like, oh, we're doing this for real. And it's like, oh, I can't even imitate you.
Annoying? No.
Okay. I know. For you, one thing that you do that drives me absolutely bonkers and is so annoying. And I don't think you're really doing it to flirt, but I'll say I love you and you're like, I love me too. It is the most annoying.
I told you where I got that from.
Your mother.
Yeah. When I because I call my mom every Sunday.
I know.
And at the end of our conversation, she says, I love you. I said, I love you too. She says, I know.
But I'm not married to her. So
we were like 15 years in before I realized that's where it came from. Too.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my.
But your mother is a saint of a woman.
My mom is
so
awesome. Yours is too, to be fair. Yeah, that'd probably be the most annoying thing. That yeah,
it is.
I do love me. I'm awesome. What are you talking about? Anyway, what was the other half of that question?
What is the most annoying way your significant other flirts with you?
Oh, I thought it was 2 parts.
That's the second part. So it was, what do you do that's annoying, and what's your spouse do that's annoying to you?
I don't know. I really don't.
I don't know is not an answer. I'm just kidding.
Annoying that you don't do anything annoying to flirt with me. I do all kinds of things that are annoying. Well, I assume they're annoying, but I told you before we started today that you are the love of my life. And aside from that, I live to make you giggle and scoff at me.
This
So
is true.
pretty much every day is of trying to make you laugh or
I don't sometimes, and it's not a knock, but like I love the laughter in our house, and the more serious couples, I just don't understand. And it's
Right?
just like, and like I said, it's not a knock on them.
I mean, I'm not walking around like Stitch with bras and panties tied to my head, but anymore.
This is a family show.
It is hey, they've all seen that episode or that part of the movie.
This is true. Yeah.
Disney said it, I can say it.
Yes.
We're gonna get in trouble for that one. Anyway, no, I can't think of
Because it was a swimsuit. It wasn't. So.
Yeah, whatever. Both were probably anyway.
Anyways.
I have a giant Stitch on our couch that has.
I got him a squishmallow.
And it's literally like this big.
It's a giant. It's the huge
it's a big
squishmallow.
one. It takes up a whole seat on our couch. Anyway, topic of discussion. A good spouse means everything. They are someone that makes you feel loved, safe, and appreciated. They're also someone that challenges you to be the best person you can be through both good and bad. And so what are some aspects or some things that we should have, should work on, or if we're not there yet, should look for? Because it sounds horrible to say this. Not everybody is marriage material.
No.
Doesn't mean they can't be.
Well,
Because I think I'm going to go church for a second here. Pastor Michael Todd said a long time ago, dating is data collection. That every relationship you have in a dating concept is to define whether or not they're the one or not.
absolutely.
And when you know they're not, you should move on.
Yeah.
But things you should look for, I have a few. So what do you think?
You should respect your spouse. I think that's huge. You should trust your spouse. And I think with trust and respect also comes that other side of there are times where your spouse is going to screw up or you're going to screw up. And I think part of that trust and respect is you're going to have to correct them at some point, because we all have annoying things that we just naturally do without thinking. But, out of love, respect, and trust, not knocking them down in public or lovingly grabbing their arm and pulling them out of the room to tell them, shut up. You don't know the context of what you're talking about, and you are digging a hole. But not embarrassing them in front of people, but still having that conversation of, you know what, you were a little over the top today.
Yeah.
Or you made a joke and you need to understand the context of the room that you totally were oblivious to and made it very uncomfortable for everyone. So, sometimes you have to do that.
Yes.
I'm trying to think.
Perfect doesn't mean perfect all the time.
Facts. So trust, respect.
Open communication.
Yeah. Confidant.
Active listening. And empathy and compassion.
Active listening. I like that it's on there, but I always put that caveat to, how we have found our communication is I don't try to have a serious conversation with you in the middle of a football game because I know you're not going to pay attention. And you don't, like, there are sometimes I'm in the middle of something, crafting in the middle of work or whatever, because I do work at home. Sometimes you will come in and have a conversation, but understanding that may not always be the best time.
Sure.
But also understanding that, like, there might be some times where my life is falling apart. You will pause the game.
Oh,
You will turn the TV off. And so I think with that open line of communication, like you need to understand your spouse enough to know when you have to drop everything and when you can passively listen. Because there's times I'm just, venting about whatever.
Mm-hmm. Listen to fix it, and listen for support.
Yep.
Which one? I'm with you. You don't always see these ahead of time. So the thoughts that I wrote were trust, and I put trust and grace.
Yes.
Trust that we see the TikToks all the time that there's a donut and a phone on the table, and somebody starts reaching for the table, and the other person goes and grabs the other one really quick, and it ends up being the donut.
We are the donut couple.
Yeah, like I trust, and the phone is one that always comes up. Like I've had people tell me, like, I can't believe you let your wife go through your phone. I'm like, why? Like, I don't care. Like, I have nothing to hide. I'll tell you not to look on the Amazon list every so often because, it's your birthday or Christmas or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we have friends that are that way. And
I don't understand that.
I don't either. But I added trust and grace because we're not going to get it right all the time.
No.
And it has to be understood. Like, I genuinely believe you can recover from anything, but you have to be, both sides have to be willing to put the effort in to recover from all of those things. That's where the grace part comes from. To a point, right? Repeated violations of trust is a whole different thing that requires professional help. But,
absolutely.
Trust in the marriage relationship, but also trust with being a good parent, being able to take care of everyday life stuff, getting through the valleys together, right? Mm-hmm. Not just say trust like don't cheat on me, but trust like can you help me and our family get through the valley, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, and if you don't trust your spouse to see those dark corners of your life, because especially when you're dealing with depression, anxiety, fill in the blank on the mental disorders, it's going to make anything that you're struggling with 10 times worse. Like I try to be pretty open about my anxiety, and there has been times where I am just curled up on the couch, dead to the world. And when we have had really good talks about how I'm feeling in those moments, it's helped us to be stronger too. Because when I say that I'm dealing with this and also like changing how I communicate what I'm going through with you, rather than just saying I'm fine, I'm having anxiety, and you just leave me alone. But you also do understand, like, it's nothing against you. It's, I'm battling something in my head, and also understanding at the end of the day, like, I will come back to you and I will explain if there's something else. And it took us a while to get there because, especially growing up, like we were conditioned almost, our generation. Don't talk about your feelings. Just, channeling Elsa, conceal, don't feel, don't let it show. Like that's just how we were raised. And so now that it's being a little bit more openly talked about has been fantastic because, I trust that you're not going to come up and be like, oh, miss, I can't get it together today. You're not going to come up and make fun of me for dealing with this, but you also can come alongside me in those moments. And it sounds stupid, but in the moment, like I forget to eat. I forget to take care of myself. I can't think of anything else other than the battle that is going on in my head. And you said something, it was last night, that I wasn't feeling too hot. It's change of weather. And you looked at me and you're like, are you not feeling well? Because of the change of season, or when did you eat last? And
No,
like,
we were doing something or having a conversation. Like, did you eat today?
yes, it was like, you said something. I was like, and I had to stop and think, and I was like, I did eat today. And, you know, it sounds silly, but you got to look out for your spouse. And I think, you know, it's not a good trait to have, the fact that I forget to eat often enough that people call me out for it. Although I feel like I snack all the time, but I don't. I just forget to eat. But yeah.
Yeah, but snacking isn't like substance. I used to snack all the time, but I was always hungry.
But I'm not hungry. I snack because I know
Now
I have to put food in my mouth.
Blender full of bananas and protein shake, and I'm
Fair.
good for the day.
Yeah.
The biggest thing because we're going to break all of these down over the next few episodes that we have planned. The biggest thing that I have to take away from what a good spouse means to me is shared values.
Yes.
Whatever they are, right? Maybe it sounds awful, but maybe trust and respect isn't a shared value that you have with your spouse. Maybe you should fix that, but whatever your values are, right? We talk in the corporate world, and I don't mean to think that we need to treat marriage like a business, but we have mission, vision, values, and structure.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, you have those same things in a marriage. You have, where are we trying to go in life? Where are we trying to get to, right? Common goals, common direction. What we do now to meet those goals, and then the values and the structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Respect, communication, trust, cleaning up after yourself. That's for all of us, not just me. Boundaries and autonomy, right? We set boundaries. Like, you know, for a long time, you know, there was no spending for whatever you wanted. And there's some months where it's $100 that I don't. You need some context. We share all of our finances.
Yep.
And so there's limits to allowance, if you will, for a word that fits the conversation. We don't have an allowance.
I was going to say, yeah.
It's not the...
It's almost like our budget line.
Yeah, it's a budget line item that we each have. It's $50 right now. Like, you can now, gas and groceries and things like that don't count. But we have a set rule that if it's more than $50, we have to talk about it, make sure it's in the budget. Those are the kind of boundaries we're talking about. Or, you know, hey, you tend to get a little grumpy when, not me or you, but somebody, a person, you know, likes to go to, you know, the local watering hole and gets a little grumpy after a few too many. Maybe a boundary needs to be, you know, this many, or be home by this time. And that's not to say we need to treat our spouses like children. That's a respect thing. You are not you when you're hungry.
Facts. No, but that's a good call out, is, you know, for your budget, like how much you spend, it's going to boil down to, you know, are you respecting your household thing? Because realistically, like, you should be sitting down with your spouse to discuss your budget, whether you share finances or not.
Oh, yeah.
Because realistically, like, and I think it's a conversation that should be had more often, is, you know, if you have separate finances, if you make significantly more than your spouse, are you expecting them to have an equal financial contribution to everything you have? Or in a healthy way, are, you know, if you make 2/3 more than them, are you doing 2/3 of the finances and they're only doing 1/3? Because, you know, I read a story one time about a guy who, made like 150K or so, like just a really big amount. And his wife was a teacher and they had separate finances, but he was getting really mad at her because he expected her to contribute. And I think it was, he did 2/3 of the rent or whatever, because they lived in a condo, and he was getting upset because she just didn't seem to, quote unquote, have enough left in her budget to do all the things that he wanted to do. They were going to these top end restaurants all the time and taking these ridiculous stuff. And so, she couldn't afford to buy clothes for herself regularly. And she was like, I can't go on this trip because I just can't afford it. That's financial abuse. And so, in that situation specifically, but like, are you taking into consideration, maybe your spouse is taking a lower ended job to be home with the kids? Teachers a lot of times are taking that job because not only do they love it, but it keeps them on the same schedule as their children. So they're giving up that financial ability to have the family in mind. Well, if you're holding your spouse hostage with finances, that's not being respectful.
Yeah. I genuinely don't understand how split finances work.
I don't either, but you know what? That's not my call to make.
Yeah. And we have friends that they do it well based on percentage, right?
Yes.
So they've decided that 30% of each of their income is going to go towards rent. And then they will rent something that fits into that 30%. And then their vacation, they each put 5% of their income. Now, one is same way. One makes almost $150K more than the other one. It works for them, but they do it on percentage. So they've decided ahead of time, I'm not going to be grumpy if we can't go to Thailand because your 5% and my 5% doesn't equal that trip. We'll figure out what meets in the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But that's shared values, boundaries, agree on it, figure it out. Or if there's something that we've talked about that doesn't happen that you want to happen, go have that communication. Something that doesn't get talked about a lot is the commitment to prioritize the marriage.
Yes.
Like we talk about shared values and shared direction. I genuinely think most people mean well when they start out that way, that this is the direction we're going to go. I like this person. I think we can make it work forever. But then 5 years down the road, the marriage isn't number one. It's, I've had some great mentors and some great pastors out there talk about, like, your kids will be okay. Like, you have to, like, you're with your spouse for the rest of your life. Genuinely speaking, your kids, maybe not so much in today's market and culture, but genuinely speaking, your kids should move out at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, we hear too many stories about, the last kid turned 18 and mom and dad are getting divorced. Well, I'm going to venture to say that for the last 18 years, if the marriage was the priority and not trying to be the next star sports person, they'd probably be in a lot better place.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not to say that don't sacrifice and don't hustle for your kids, but
no, not at all.
No, I think it comes down to your spouse is supposed to be the person. And we've said this before. If you have a celebration, you got a promotion at work, you got a bonus at work, who are you going to? If it's not your spouse, there's a problem.
Yes.
Now, obviously, there's going to be vicinity. Like if your spouse is at home sleeping because they work a swing shift or whatever, obviously that's a little different. You may call up your bestie because you need that quick hit. But if you're not rushing home to tell your spouse, like ASAP, like that's a significant red flag. And like our kids are definitely a huge priority. Huge priority. Like we set aside time to spend with them. Like we plan vacations around them, making sure that it's stuff that they're going to enjoy. But at the end of the day, like I'm not going to plan something that's going to make you miserable.
Except Disney.
You were not miserable.
I wasn't. No, that was actually, we could have a whole like series on how to do Disney, because I don't know that I ever want to do it a different way. Yeah. Party hard in the morning, take a nap, party hard at night, take a longer nap.
Right. Plan a day of rest in the middle.
As close as possible. Anyway, thought that I had, and we're coming up on time, along the whole idea if your spouse isn't the first person you go to celebrate with. This happens mostly for women. Um, I'm sure there are men that do this, but if you're constantly complaining to your mother about your spouse,
Oh my gosh,
you
yes.
need to go talk to your spouse and figure out how to fix whatever the issue is.
I would even venture not just your mother. If you are constantly complaining about your spouse to your best friends, because you're right, us women, we tend to, gather around the water cooler, fill the drink of choice. But, we tend to swap, why can't I say that word?
Swap stories.
I was thinking of another word, but that works. Swap stories. And just share details that shouldn't be shared. And there are so many times that people bag on their spouse. And I have even seen it like in the corporate world, get to know yous. And it's like, I came into, several departments. I've seen this, someone comes in and they're like, tell us about yourself. And it's like, yeah, I'm have a couple kids and I'm married and, we don't talk about him. And I'm like, why are we talking down about our spouse?
Yeah.
And if that's the constant narrative, like I get that can be humorous, but at the end of the day, if you're not following up with, but I still like him, or, I'll keep him around for a little longer, or, something of those sorts, it sends that negative connotation that why are you even married?
Yeah. Yes. Thoughts, we go camping with the guys or go whatever with the guys, and it's like, yeah, she's doing this and I don't understand. I'm like, if you're seeking advice, that's different.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you're venting in a negative context just to vent, then you probably need to go address the issue.
Well, and I also would challenge that seeking advice because, there are some times where you're like, I'm seeking advice, and I see this in many different areas. But if you're seeking advice and you're not actually going to do anything about it,
that's true.
Yeah, because it's almost like I'm seeking advice, quote unquote, but I'm actually just doing this to gossip or.
Yeah, that's not the same thing.
Yeah. And that's why I always want to give that caveat of like, what is the intention?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I hope so.
Forever. Right? No, I think that because like I'm not that guy. I genuinely think you're an amazing person, but at the same time, this goes into this. We talked about this the other day, that we're trying to figure out how to put this into a show. The quality of life you have is usually based on the quality of life of the people around you.
Oh, 100%.
Now, the people that I have around me are genuinely people we would go to for advice because we're not those kind of people. Like when I go to my 2 or 3 friends to talk about an issue that I need to fix, I know that they're going to come back with genuine advice, and we're not gossiping. But 20 years ago, I was in the Navy, and nobody really cared about anything, and we were just being obnoxious to be obnoxious.
Oh, 100%.
I say that. Most cases, we probably have relationships with friends that we're going to go to seek advice, and it's really just, I need to tell you that my wife's being dumb.
Oh, 100%.
Versus, place we're at now, I don't have those kind of relationships anymore, so they're significantly better.
I would even expand that to, your social media. What are you searching out on your social media? Because it's silly, but like if you look up something in like a very innocent, like, oh gosh, I pulled up something about a farm animal or something, and then I got flooded with like all of these random feeds and clips about animals. Same goes for relationships. Like if you're looking at stuff that is not pro-marriage, guess what's going to happen? That algorithm is going to pick up on it. And that is what you're going to be fed. And we've talked about this, and I'm sure that everybody has seen this. You rabbit trail on social media so easily. And so you look at, somehow, I don't even know how this happened, but like all of a sudden I got all this like disgusting, like porn, like stuff in my feed. I'm like, I don't know what just happened. How did and I kept trying to block it. And then it fed me more stuff. And then I just like had to get off social media for like 2 months just to clear. It was.
Our phones are nearby. We're going to get thirst traps for the rest of the day.
I know. But I think same concept is, if you're not seeing stuff that's positive for marriage and you're watching a bunch of stuff or friends with a bunch of people who are not about marriage, it's going to filter into your life.
Yep. All right.
On that note,
a good spouse is someone who makes life better in every way. Unconditional love, support through thick and thin, and help you become the best version of yourself. Go find them. And if you're not that person, try to be that person.
Even if that means getting professional help.
That's the next thing.
I know.
All right. We are not professionals. On that note, we are discussing our real life things that we have had happen or things that we've seen and experienced as entertainment. If this is a deeper issue, please go and find professional help. There are plenty of professional, qualified, and educated professionals that can help you figure out where you need to get to. Follow us on the socials at My Wife Still Likes Me, mywifestilllikesme.com. Let us know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe. Tell us that we're talking about awesome stuff, or tell us that you don't want to hear what we're talking about. Either way, see ya.